Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of my MotoGP 19 mod career mode here today for round number 17 out of 19 for the Australian Grand Prix at Phillip Island, one of my favourite races on the calendar, one of my all-time favourite tracks, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very much excited to jump into things. But first of all, if you guys missed the last episode for the Japanese Grand Prix at Motegi, guys, click on the card in the top right hand corner of your screen and go watch the episode before I get into any further spoilers for this particular race. Now, for this race in Phillip Island, we don't have any upgrades on the bike, as we didn't really need to, because we've already got quite a lot of pace on the bike as it is. You can see on the right hand side we are currently leading the championship, but let's look at the details here and look at more specific numbers. So Dovi's 23 points behind, so if I can get that gap above 25 points in this race, there's a very realistic possibility I could win the championship in the next race. So we're going to try and do that here today. Vinales and Marquez are on the bubble. They're very close. They're mathematically still within a chance if I fall off all three races and they get, wins each. But it's going to be quite tricky. And still a four-way fight, in terms of those four mathematically, but realistically the fight is between myself and Dovi, which is going to be the one that goes down to the wire, I think. With that being said, though, in terms of this track at Phillip Island, we don't have any upgrades, but I do think we're going to have good pace around here. It's a track that I really love, and I'll try and make it work one way or another. So with that being said, we're going to jump into practice first of all. We're going to go for the practice programs, and then we're going to try and set a lap that's good enough to get us straight into Q2, as we always do. So without further ado, let's jump into it. It's time for the Australian Grand Prix, and let's jump into practice. Okay, so midway through FP1 and we have completed all of the practice programs, as you can see on screen, and we've got a flawless score with the exception of the brake test, I believe. There was one brake zone I just couldn't hit, so unfortunately we're going to lose a couple of points, but still speaking, it's a very good tally, and we've got a good amount of points just in case if we are going to need them later on. In the meantime though, we are looking fast around here, I can't lie, the pace is good, and the bike feels great. I think 24.6 is where I'm at. I think I can easily get into the 23s, but we're just going to try and improve to like a low 24, and that should be enough for Q2. So let's jump into it. Let's try and set a pretty decent lap. Okay, this lap should be good enough. Through the final corner, onto the pit straight, a little bit wider onto the curb, but this should be okay. There we go, low 24, exactly what I wanted. That lap should be more than enough for Q2, so speaking of which, let's jump into the session now, and let's go with qualifying. Right, here we are then for Q2 at Phillip Island for the Australian Grand Prix, qualifying as expected. Let's jump into it here and let's try and set a decent couple of laps and try and secure that pole position going into the race tomorrow. Right, that was a very strong opening lap, to be fair. That felt pretty damn good. Up to the line, 24.1, so that's our fastest time on the weekend, already faster than practice. I know a 23 is very much possible, as we have a huge wobble there through T1. I'm going to try and stick with Vinales here as a reference on this lap, although I think I might actually overtake him. In fairness, I think I'm faster than him. But a high 23 is definitely possible here. Let's keep looking for it. Oh dear, that was a huge hit. We're going to bail on that one. We're going to come back into pit lane and fix the bike damage, because surely I'll have some damage from that hit. That was a massive hit. Right, bike fixed. Let's get back up to speed and let's try and get to those 1 minute 23s. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm struggling here. I'm trying to push the limits. We're going to have to pit in again and try and get the bike damage fixed, but that's a pretty substantial hit to the ground at high speed. Just a little bit wide through there. That's going to be not the ideal line. Still 2 tenths up though. A little bit hot into there as well, but we're looking okay to hold this together. This is my worst corner on track. I hate that corner so much. But here we go then. And to the final corner. Keep a nice tight line. There we go, on the power then. Just try and stay off that curb if I can. And that was a pretty tight lap, to be honest. That should be a 123. Come on, there we go. 23.7, job done. That will definitely secure pole. Right, so qualifying is done and we dominate. We take pole by 1.5 seconds, and crucially, Andrea Dovizioso is only P6, so that's going to be massive for us in terms of our chances in the race of extending that gap to over 25 points. With that being said though, qualifying is in the books and we're now going to move into the race on Sunday for round number 17 for the Australian Grand Prix. Let's jump into it.
The cameras are accompanying us on a tour of their favourite riders for today's MotoGP race. We can't make predictions, but judging from the extremely competitive qualifying sessions, we're sure we're going to see a fantastic show.
Well, I mean, qualifying wasn't super close, to be honest with you, so I'm hoping it's not that entertaining. I want to try and have a nice, comfortable race and try and dominate if possible. For that, we're going to change the tyres, and for this one, I'm going to try and go for the soft medium. I'm going to try and be aggressive, pull the pin early, and try and open up a gap, and just see if we can try and dominate the race as a whole. So, let's see how it goes. It is now time, though, for round 17, and for the race and the Australian Grand Prix. Let's jump into it, and let's try and win this race.
Engines are fired, the riders are ready. Just a few moments to go and another Australian Grand Prix will begin here at Phillip Island.
Right, here we go. Clutch pulled, first gear selected, the 5 lights are on. Lights out and away we go here in Phillip Island. And it's not a great start. Joan Mir there, I think, in the Suzuki get a fantastic start, as does Johan Zarco. Dovi all the way up to P1 from P6 on the grid. Zarco there, what a start in the other KTM, absolutely fantastic stuff. We're going to go down the inside here as we hit Dovi on the rear through turn 2. We're going to take a shallow line. We run a bit higher though. Zarco though, P2, what a start, really, really fantastic start from the KTM rider. As we go down towards turn 3 for the first time here. I'm going to try and run the outside line. Lots of grip there for me. Oh no, this is not my best corner. This hairpin is very tricky for me. I always struggle through there to get it slowed down on the brakes. Luckily we somehow did. And we hold on to P2 as Dovi leads the way here. Turn 6 now, this is one of my stronger corners. We get the power down nice and early. Going to get a nice run on Dovi here. We're going to pull to the inside. We're a little bit shallow though into turn 8, so I'm going to back out for now. I'm not going to commit to that. That was way too shallow of a line. As we race up towards turn 9. Looking at Dovi's rear wheel here. I'm going to just hold off for now because this is not my strongest part of the track. This next right-hander is one of my weakest corners on the circuit in terms of me braking. They are a lot later than me on the brakes, and then also this one here, turn 11 is my worst corner. I hate this corner so much because the corner never seems to end, and I'm waiting to get the power and you just can't get on the power. As we go into the final corner here, Rossi down the inside trying to look for a move, but we just fend him off again, and now this is where I'm strongest. We get the whole shot onto the pit straight. We've got a beautiful run on Dovi here as we get the toe on the Ducati. Late on the brakes there, but we're not going to go down the inside just yet. A bit more contact there possibly, but we're going to hold off. We're going to try and take the wide line into 2. Let's try and get the exit down towards turn 3 and then in towards the hairpin. There we go, that's a good exit. Nice wide line here into 3. Around the outside, yes. Now to get it also down for the hairpin. Come on, bring it down to the apex. That's what I'm talking about right there. Good move. And we take first place from Dovi. Into T6 again. Dovi's going to try and go down the inside, but I'm going to take my usual wide entry and fast exit, and there we go. We stay in front, which is good. So we're now in P1. We've got the track position. Now we've got to try and establish our pace like we did in qualifying, and try and open up a gap here and try and pull away from the Italian rider if possible, and really try and establish our dominance here today, because this would be a great result if it ends like this in terms of the championship. So let's get to work and let's try and pull away from the Italian if we can. 24.5, pretty strong pace. We are opening up a pretty big gap now to Dovi. Meanwhile, Marcus P4, Rossi P3, Zarco still P6, which is good for the Constructors' Championship, as we just dip a wheel on the grass there. Got to be careful with that. But this is looking good for us in terms of if Zarco can hold that P6, that'd be a great result for the Constructor. But nonetheless, we're looking good here, as I'm a little bit rash there through turn 2. But we're getting a nice gap out to Dovi here, and we're starting to really pull the pin and open up the gap. The reason why I put those soft medium tyres on is for this reason. So pace is good, bike's working good now, narrow there and clean there. Let's keep pushing. That's a good lap, 24.1, that felt really good. Pace is great. No complaints here, this is looking like a whitewash. Let's bring it home. Pace is super consistent at the minute, no complaints. It's looking good, another 24.4 there. The gap to Dovi is now pretty ridiculous. 3-4 laps to go. Let's bring this one home now and try and secure the bag here and give ourselves a massive chance of winning the championship in the next race. Oh, Jack Miller goes down, the hometown hero. That's going to be disappointing for the home fans as he hits the deck on the Pramac. Here we go then, through the final few corners. Oh, that's a little bit wide, but still panic avoided as we go through the final corner now. And it's been a dominant performance here today. Very enjoyable race for me. Not much action, but that's how I like it. Cruise to the line, and there we go. We win the Australian Grand Prix. Now we've got to see where Dovi finished, because Rossi and Vinales were scrapping it out for P2. So Dovi might not even be on the podium in this race. Let's look at the final race results and let's confirm if that's the case. Okay then, so here we have it then, and actually quite surprisingly, going into the last lap, Rossi and Vinales were 2nd and 3rd. In the process, they lost out to Marquez and Dovi. Marquez, though, got P2, Dovi only P3, Zarco down in P8 as well for us in terms of the Constructors. But what that means for the championship here, as you can see, we are 32 points ahead of Dovi with 2 races remaining. And now officially Marquez and Vinales are mathematically out of the running. So it's a 2-way fight down to the last race, or down to the next race realistically. I'd like to wrap it up in the next race if possible, because the Valencian GP, the last race, is one where the AI are very strong and I'm not very good around there, and I tend to struggle to get a top 10, so we'll see how it goes. But 32 point cushion, very welcome indeed at this stage of the season, and I'm very, very happy with that. In terms of the Constructors, though, Zarco with the 8th place actually helps me extend our lead over Ducati to 39 points, so we're looking good there to wrap up the Constructors for KTM. And in terms of the team championship, you can see there Yamaha looking good to wrap that one up probably in the next race, as Ducati at P2 and Repsol Honda P3. We are currently P4, but we're looking comfortable now. We're actually 60 points ahead of Suzuki, so we're more than ever further ahead of those guys. And then we've got the Works KTM team in P6. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode of the MotoGP 19 Mod Career Mode. Only 2 more episodes to go after this one, guys, so do tune in for those. But if you did enjoy this one, drop a like, and also get subscribed if you are new for daily Formula 1 and MotoGP content, and turn notifications to not miss a video from me. And finally, check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. Above that, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next episode very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.